Greetings everyone, it's your boy the Antman here, back at you with another review, and welcome to the finale of the chilling spooktacular month. To wrap up the spooky season, it's time to whip out a bunch of Hocus Pocus in the town of Salem. Hocus Pocus came out in 1993 and was directed by Kenny Ortega, who would later on direct High School Musical and Descendants. The movie centers on witch sisters called the Sandersons. Back in 1693, on Halloween night, they lure a little girl named Emily to their cottage. Her older brother, Thackeray Binks, played by Sean Murray, follows them. The witches, Winifred, played by Bette Midler, Sarah, played by Sarah Jessica Parker, and Mary, played by Kathy Najimy, feed Emily a potion which allows them to absorb her youth and regain their own, killing her in the process. In short, her brother confronts them, but is cursed to be a black cat and to live forever, with the guilt of not saving his sister. The village people then hang the witches for the murder of Thackeray and Emily. Before that happens though, Winifred casts a curse that'll resurrect the sisters on Halloween night if a virgin lights the black flame candle in the cottage. 3 centuries later, a boy named Max, his little sister Danny, and his new crush Allison go to their cottage, which is now a museum. Max ends up lighting the candle, which brings them back. The sisters then try to suck the lives out of the children in Salem before sunrise. Binks also joins the gang into fighting off the witches and putting an end to their evil doings. Now, I know I'm not alone on this, but I watch this movie every Halloween, and I do mean every Halloween. It is an all-time classic that you never get sick of when you rewatch it over and over again. Though, in regards to me, that's every good movie I enjoy, but still. For starters, the look of the movie is pretty spooky and lively, even for the time. The look of the witches' cottage from the past and present both give off very haunted vibes, and yet you still want to know more about the history of it. And speaking of the witches, let me just say right now, the actresses were perfect for these roles. Both in makeup and the acting itself, these witches are genuinely funny. I know some older adults may get a few chuckles, and they may not laugh as loud as some of the younger people, but I would say that it's very subjective, depending on what your type of humor is. For me though, they're some of the best comedic villains I've ever seen. Their quick energy reminds me so much of Jim Carrey from the live-action Grinch, where they are so lively and goofy with emotions that you can't help but be intrigued by it. Even some of the visual humor, like when later on in the movie Mary loses her broom, so she has to make do with a vacuum to fly. I mean, come on now, how can that not be funny? Since I speak highly on the witches, how about the other main characters? Well, I think they're just as charming. Max is an okay protagonist. Nothing groundbreaking, but nothing bad either. He didn't take kindly to his new home in Salem until he came in contact with Alice at school. Speaking of which, Alice could have a little more personality, but she strays away from just being the love interest also. Max's little sister Danny is also enjoyable to watch, I will admit. She's somewhat of a lovable brat, plus she's pretty adorable. The one other character I feel is a lot more fleshed out would have to be Binks. Once he comes in contact with Max and the gang, you know firsthand that he really wants to stop the witches, and make sure they don't do to other kids what they did to his sister. I love the parallels between them and Max and Danny, since they're both pairs of siblings. There's a moment later on in the movie when Binks is talking to Max, and then he says this.
Take good care of Danny, Max. You'll never know how precious she is until you lose her.
That brings out a genuine emotion out of me every time I watch the movie. Like for real, that hits me home. Though by the end, without giving too much of a spoiler, You then see that his destiny of living forever made it all worth it. So yeah, I think Binks is a really good character. Also, before I forget, I want to say probably the second most entertaining part of this movie, behind the witches, would have to be the bullies Jay and Ice. These two are some of the most loving losers in the world. They're not in the movie much, but my god, some of their quotes just stick with you. Plus Jay's laugh.
But what are you supposed to be? A new kid on the block?
Shut up!
Oh my god, these two deserve a spin-off movie. I'll petition that shit ASAP. At the time of this review, I'm sure most of us may know that a sequel is going to premiere on Disney Plus next year. From the looks of it, it seems very promising, and I'm pretty hyped for it. Let's just hope it's as classy and fun as the original. With that said, I most definitely recommend Hocus Pocus to anyone who has not watched it before. From the characters to the visuals and feel of Halloween, I'm sure you'll see why watching this movie is a full-time tradition when it comes to the spooky season. A timeless classic that'll live on and never gets old. With that said, I end off the chilling spooktacular month by giving Hocus Pocus a bewitching 10 out of 10. Thank you all so much for watching today's episode of Antman Reviews. Hope you all had fun with it. And next time will be the start of the most wonderful time of the year. Ho 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 ho. Until then, here's your boy the Antman signing off. Deuces, y'all.